I'm going to support the wrist. Coverall is so thin, and it's a great layer to have as an anchor. Okay? Now, for an athlete, again, in one of these more delicate sports, the whole injury is on the ulnar side here. Okay? Usually there's pain with abduction or extension. It's on the ulnar side. So what we want to do is we want to protect that ulnar side, and we want to keep them in this sort of neutral thumb position. I don't want to, as I'm taping, pull her open and gap the injured area. Okay? So we're going to be a little more delicate with that. So depending on who your partner is, really look at the size of that web space and the gapped area. Okay? And so what we could have them do, so that we don't get any of those sort of rough ends, we're just going to take long strips. All I did was cut it right off of the box, of the 8-inch box. I didn't chop it at all. I just cut strips, because remember, this has an inherent stretch. So you get to pull if you're a little short and create some extra length. But the whole point here is we need the CMC or the MCP, depending on which is injured, we need it covered. So again, it's a much more delicate piece of tape. It's very thin, so an athlete that still has to grip something will feel like this is not impeding their grip. Okay? So we've covered the MCP and the CMC. So depending on what the injury is, if we say it's the CMC, make sure you crisscross down by the CMC. If we tell you this is gamekeeper's thumb and it's an MCP problem, you need to cover the correct joint. Okay? In a thumb spica, typically both are going to be stabilized. So just make sure that your layers come up enough and cover the MCP of the thumb. Are we cool with that? Now we're going to start our strips. So we're going to start to stabilize using our strips. Now you could either start as such, and just, again, she's staying in a nice neutral as I wrap around, creating a teardrop. And I can even come around her wrist to stabilize her. Okay? She doesn't have to open wide into the injury. Or if you feel like you're confident coming around, you can do it like that. Close down your thumb a little. There we go. You see? So you guys can pick which technique you like. If you can see it as you come at it, or anchor, create your teardrop, and come around. But we need to make sure that we've supported it down around the wrist, so that's why you saw how long my strip was, and that we've got it covered. If I felt like I needed a little bit more coverage down lower, I got a good grip around her MCP. If I need a little bit more at that CMC, I'm going to angle towards that now. So, and for those of you who might be thinking, does it matter if I go this way or this way? It doesn't. As long as you create your teardrop over the correct joint, we are in great shape. Okay, now for those of you who have a smaller hand or are going to work with a partner with a smaller hand, make your strips a little thinner so that you don't get all caught up in the web space and it starts rolling. Okay? From there, all we have to do, is there 2-inch light plus? All we have to do now is just rewrap the wrist so that all of our anchor strips, all of our strips have an anchor. And before I do that, I want to show you one thing on top of this. If that wasn't enough, and I felt like, you know, she really needs a little more support, what I could do, is I could add extra strips on the thumb like this and just push down. Layer it, push down. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to give her just a little bit more support so that she doesn't open up and sprain even more the UCL. Push down. Do you see how I made it shorter around the thumb? Then, if I was happy with that and that's all I needed to do, I would close her up. Good. And then turn your hand over. I like to finish at the top. And then if she had a wristband, I would ask her to put the wristband over this to create some sense of more compression. But this way, she's not going to be able to open up. She still can close around whatever is here, whether it's a racket, a club, a ball, a javelin, whatever it is. But she's not going to be able to open so much and gap that area because we kept her in this nice neutral thumb. We didn't tape her all the way out here. If you're taping for thumb spica all the way out here, I still think you should be half the distance, but this is then prevention. This is not an injury because this is going to hurt being out here, okay? If this is a skier or a snowboarder, probably more the skier, they need to grip the pole. They can still grip their pole without being pushed into abduction. Okay, for your snowboarders who have to scrape the ground as they're going, they can still do that without getting pushed so far open. Cool with that? So it's an easy way to do a thumb spica, but it looks cleaner. It feels a little bit more supportive for the more delicate sports. Okay? Cool.